Good morning. Thank you very much for joining us on the Morning Drift. And this is the big conversation. We're streaming live on Facebook, Look Up TV. And we want to take a look at navigating career and motherhood. For a long time, it's been a difficult topic, difficult conversation, with mothers now saying they lack identity. They cannot find identity. Motherhood has changed their identity. They're not sure if they want to go back, pursue their education to just enhance their career. Their goals have been shifted. And now you're in the middle of your work and your career. You're thinking, I have my first child as a toddler, 4 years, probably going into school, and I have a second one. How do you even space them to allow your career navigation? There are so many questions, including, do you have enough support from your partner when it comes to navigating career and motherhood? Motherhood is a conversation we cannot exhaust this morning, but we hope you can ask your questions to our expert on set today. What are you dealing with? Is it the choices you make? Is it the priorities? Is it the tension? Is it the lack of independence? Because someone once said, once you're a mother, you lack independence in so many ways. How then do you make your decisions when it comes to your career and family? How do you even strike that particular balance? You're probably in the political scene and you're thinking, how do I even protect my children from the limelight as much as this is my career path? What can you do as a mother as you try to navigate, especially as a young mother, probably a single mother, because now that's the largest, percentage as we speak in the cities, especially in Nairobi. They say Kanairo, and you're thinking, I have to put food on the table, but I have to be a natural all at the same time. There've also been questions of why are career women not being the, mother figure that the society expects. So there's a lot surrounding navigation of career and motherhood, and I want to welcome our expert this morning on the big conversation, just to shed lights on some of these challenges, what to do, and also to explain what the psychology behind each of these struggles is all about. Edith, good morning.
Good morning, Anki.
How are you?
Fine, thank you.
I am so glad you made it.
Thank you.
And I know we were anticipating to start this at 8 a.m., a bit of hitches here and there, but we appreciate that we can do a bit 20-30 minutes on the same discussion.
Lovely.
Now let's start with that. Do you agree that there is, quite, it's not a tension, but there is a struggle right now in this century, in this time and era, when it comes to navigating career and motherhood? First, your general perspective, to also the clients you have met when it comes to the same. What is really the general view on this perspective this morning?
Lovely. Thank you, Anki. Yes, I must agree there must be challenges currently. Navigating, you want to combine motherhood and career. First of all, I must agree, personally, being a wife and a mother to 5 lovely, blessed children, you can only try to imagine what that means and what that takes. First, it takes a lot of patience, takes a lot of resilience, takes a lot of understanding. And I keep saying, everything starts in the mind. You as a person, you must be well prepared in all sets. Mind, always thinking positive, eating positive, working positive.
Yes.
Everything that you do must be very, very positive. Because as you say, these days to balance motherhood and career is such a huge, huge challenge.
Yes.
Because you can imagine, and especially, I remember when I was a first-time mom, that time you're still very naive. You learn by the day, probably apart from your husband, that being the first child, you can imagine the kind of non-experience that you have.
Yes.
You just learn. You do a lot of Google search, you do a lot of research on how to bring up a young child.
Yes.
But I can say through that, and when I got another child, I had already learned through the experience of the first child.
Okay. Of the first child.
Of the first child.
Yes.
But of course, being a first-time mom, I can assure you it's not easy, especially if you don't have somebody who is guiding you and taking you along.
And when you talk about guiding and taking you along, let's talk about now a working mom, because career is pretty much working. And like I would mention one Gosho, who really gets here really early in the morning, Sharon as well. There's a team of the Morning Drift who are very young, working moms as well. And I am imagining what the morning rush feels like for a working mom. Because careers, if you do not keep the discipline and get to the company on time, for example, the company is not keeping you. How can these mothers deal with this? Because I'm sure there's a lot of, battle when it comes to the morning rush in the morning as one of the struggles for navigating around your career and motherhood. Yes.
Well, thank you, Anki. That's a lovely question. First, I would actually say, as I mentioned, it's not quite easy. You know what, Anki? You know how many jobs I had to leave? So many good jobs for me to work and look up to my children. Because sometimes I understand you get different bosses who would actually understand you. I know we have very good bosses who would actually understand. If you have to report work at 7:30 or 8, probably he or she tells you, you can probably come slightly after 8 or some minutes to 9.
Yes.
But there are some who probably don't understand this. However,
yes.
I would actually urge, if mothers who are actually bringing up young children, if they can have probably even a 6-month leave.
Okay.
Yes, I mean that's a debate actually we were discussing some time back with some colleagues. If the government can consider that bill, at least working and career moms can have at least 6 months, because this young baby needs at most 6 months to breastfeed before you introduce the solid food. And you equally need to bond with this child. Well, I know we have some moms who actually, when you're given the 3 months leave, which is paid, you can extend 3 months, which probably at your workplace, your boss tells you, unfortunately, we just have to pay you for 3 months. The other 3 months, you can extend, but you don't get paid.
So that is on the leave?
That is on the leave.
But of course, we were trying to figure out more on the morning rush.
On the morning rush, yes.
Putting yourself together, making sure the food is ready for the one who's getting it packed, and still beating that 8 a.m. And probably want to share on how maybe planning could work psychologically, how to deal with anxiety in the morning.
Yes.
Yeah, before then we go into the leave idea.
Oh, lovely. That's a good question, but it's also very tough.
Yes.
Just before I got here, I can actually tell you the kind of multiple things that I had to do as a mom. Of course, having 5 children, I have to wake up probably latest by 4:30. Make sure I've organized everything. Probably I say by the time you get to my house now, if you want to have lunch, you will probably have lunch. Because by the time I leave that house, I've already probably even prepared lunch and even dinner. Pack everything for these children. And it's not easy. Probably they need to carry water to school. They need to carry a snack to school as well.
Yes.
But these days, schools have also eased the work of parents. They say you can pay some fee for the children to get lunch, not if you opt out. So probably if you don't want your children to have lunch in school, you probably need to pay extra for that.
Yes.
So you can imagine the kind of process it takes before you even get to work first. Like I say, charity begins at home.
Yes.
And that's what I say. In mind, you must be physically and emotionally prepared. However, if you're married, I believe it's good for your partner to also help you. So probably if your partner sees you've woken up at this time and you're working out on something, let him also come and also help in checking out if the books are well done, the homework, if everything is set, as you also get ready on the other side, organizing your children. Remember also there's the other part of the life skills. We call it the life skills. Of course, me being a coach, you have to make sure you have groomed your children well before they get to school, because they need to be fresh. They need to brush their teeth, they need to wash their face, putting up the uniform, and you can imagine the process. So by the time that mother leaves that house, you can imagine, then again there's also the rush, because roads at time matters. There's that morning rush so that you get to work. So you can imagine from home, then the rush, then you get to work. Oh my God.
It becomes really difficult for this woman.
It's really, really difficult, Sharon. So I think a bill needs to be passed on how mothers, considering mothers, women, whether you're married or a single mother, a bill needs to be passed so that more considerations can be made. So that this mother can be able to balance home, work, and career.
As you're speaking of more considerations for motherhood, there are a lot of bills that are now, shouting out paternal leaves, etc. I think you've heard some of these where men are looking out for being considered more because they feel women have been considered a little bit more. But talking about support, okay, let's not talk about support first. Let's talk about the identity crisis. They say that motherhood changes your identity.
Correct.
Yeah, so you wanted to be this, you want to be a media personality, but now suddenly you cannot do the morning show because, well, you're expectant and you have a toddler. How does motherhood really change or affect identity? Gives you a new identity, some of them say.
Well, thank you, Anki. It's true. It actually gives you a new identity. But however, before I talk about the new identity, I must say and appreciate being a mom also and being a parent is a huge gift and a big, big blessing because many are looking to having children. So it's also a big, big, you also need to be proud, you being called a mom. We also have the other part of the identity crisis. Of course, you hear many moms talking about, I want to work out, I need to lose my weight because all of a sudden I've experienced a belly. All of a sudden you have to eat for this child to get the breast milk. You've added so much weight, all of a sudden you feel like there's not much attention coming in from different fields, probably even your partner. By the time maybe the leave ends for your husband and he also needs to go back to work, at times you see you also left alone at home and probably even with the house help, helping one or two things. So there's a lot of identity crisis that comes with motherhood. However, this does not mean that it should affect you.
Okay.
You should always be ready to learn and know how you can change that perspective. First, accept it. The first thing is you have to accept it. Once you accept that I am now a mom, and it has to come with all challenges, you will live very happily. Because I believe happiness starts with you,
all right.
And always work out, okay, from the first month up to the 6th month, you really need to feed. But again, you can still check out on your diet, whereby you're also eating some good, well-balanced food and on portions, so that this child can actually get enough nutrients and enough milk that child needs to. So it's all about just accepting that it has come, it has happened, and many, many challenges yet to come on the way. And I say, probably if I didn't even have the 5 children that I had, there are so many things that I could not be knowing now.
Okay.
Anki. So also challenges, they sharpen you. They make you become more wise. They make you to know more about life and experiences. And you can also become an expert.
You can become an expert.
Other moms, just like what I'm doing now.
And I know one concern that women have is when I have a child, it slows down my progress. That's what they say. Because you have to keep away from a lot of things that are more involving traveling, for example, getting more involved in events, etc., for about 5 years. That depending on the situation or status or financial situation of that particular mother. Some mothers, as you're speaking, cannot afford a nanny. But they're probably mistresses of ceremony, for example. They're probably business women, and they're trying to figure out, okay, is it that motherhood then gets in the way of your career development? I don't know what perspective you'd say from a psychologist, angle, but it's been, I don't want to have kids yet, because when I do, then I'm going to have to spend 6 years wasted. That's what they say, because I have to handle 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as a mother. Yet the other partner, we see men, of course, keep progressing real quick. They buy a brand new car, then renting a new office, but you are they say stagnant. Is this the reality of it, or and how should someone accept that and work around it so they're not affected in the pace they have to take?
Correct.
Yes.
Anki, it's true. It really affects. You can imagine if you want to stay with your children between that age up to about a period of 5 years, so that you can bond and just make them grow up to be the best children, you can imagine what that takes. You sacrifice a lot. you sacrifice a lot of your time, you sacrifice a lot of your career, and many other things. Even the traveling, even it limits you. You can imagine, for example, maybe there's an event happening, and here you have a toddler who is breastfeeding. You feel a bit uneasy probably to attend the event while that child is still young. Probably you want to travel during holidays, the way people plan to go for holidays. It's not necessarily out of the country.
And even your leave.
Even your leave,
yes.
or even within. It becomes very hard. And especially you can imagine even with this COVID-19 days, what's happening. Young children, they can get immune to getting the infection. So there are many, many things that comes with it. So it really affects. However, as I am saying, don't look again at other people's life.
Okay.
If you look at, oh my God, my friend is now driving a new car, and here I am, I'm still stuck, you know? Or probably my friend has just bought a new house, and here I am, I'm still
spending
stuck.
all my money on diapers.
Exactly.
Yes.
If you look at that again, it will actually affect your mind. So that's what I'm saying. Just accept it has come. Because I believe everything has an end. Everything has a beginning, and it has an end. Remember again, children are a gift from God, as we keep saying. Because this child, you cannot again compare your children, even with the material things. That's a gift. So I think it becomes a period whereby you're first bringing up a human being, you know, children, your own, and you're happy you're seeing your own. It really feels nice.
All right.
And you see them grow up right from when they were born up to the age whereby they have to go to school. Then after that, you will also enjoy, and you're like, my God. Once you see them now going to school, and you're like, so it was such a short time. Now I can have all my time and go back to my career and do everything else that I would love to do.
However, yes.
Sorry, I interfere that, Anke. Yes. Again, we also have a lot of online things that happens.
Okay.
You can probably say, I don't want to drag behind. I can still even enroll, if you can manage, enroll in extra part-time classes online while the baby is asleep, or while you have some free time. You can start even doing other things online, you know, small businesses here and there, to actually just make you be at peace with what is happening. Yes.
So you can always do something through that time.
Yes.
It's just planning your time around motherhood, but not really staying stagnant at it. Especially with COVID-19 now, there are Zoom meetings, there is sending emails here and there, getting in touch with the world. So that's what you're saying. Correct. Ultimately, don't feel like, hey, I'm stagnant. However, there's the truth to it as well, where you have to, like you said, keep a lot of your attention on this other side. And that's what we're going to talk about. Mothers are now struggling with, should I sacrifice this for that? Moments where your bosses call you and say, you either choose between job or your domestic issues. I don't know if this is something that your clients have come to you with. Are there situations like that, where you're trying to navigate around your career, but you have a sick child, for example. A mother has to sleep at 1 a.m. because one of the anxieties that the research has shown is that one of the things that working mothers deal with, or people navigating around career and motherhood, is leaving behind an unwell child. How can, as a psychologist, professional psychologist, what would you say to a mom when it comes to actually going to work, but you know behind you have lived an unwell child? How does that work? How can they keep at peace with such situations?
Well, Anki, it's not easy, and I would assure you, you can't keep at peace even when you're working.
All right.
And especially when you have, when you know you have an unwell child back at home. And that's what I keep saying. It's also important for your companies or your boss where you're working, for them to be able to have a very good agreement, you know, and understanding. It takes understanding for both parties. Just understand, if I have come to you and I have reported I have a sick child at home, and probably you feel you may not be safe to leave this child with any other person, maybe like if you have a nanny or a good house help, you feel you really need to be with this child. I think it's just good for your boss on the other side to actually just understand and feel you.
Okay. Because
I know you have to work, you need the money. But Anki, you can work for that money, but it ends up into hospital bills. You get? So I think probably even you, once in a blue moon, when you get unwell, it's very unfortunate that you can't just be able to come to work, because health is key when it comes to everything.
Okay.
So I believe for a mom who has probably a sick child at home, it's very important for the company or for the boss to be able to really understand and even just say, okay, you can take probably even a week. Observe your child, check on him or her, and probably when he or she gets well, you could comfortably come back to work. Because we are all human beings, you know, and it's actually good to put that mutual understanding to each other. And of course, with that kind of working environment, Anki, I would really, really work very comfortably with no fears or without me feeling, oh my God, what happens now?
Yes, yes, that
What
keeps you...
It keeps you
in a worried
you're so
psychology.
anxious every other time. And I will even notice, today, Anki, you don't look so well. You look like you're not so comfortable. So it's good to give mothers that kind of comfortability so that even when they are working, they feel so much at ease and they feel they belong.
And I like when you say that, because most of the times then it puts mothers or women, young women who are trying to navigate between career and motherhood to either now quit the job and take care of the child. And we have a great shout out to, of course, Safaricom, because your companies like Safaricom have put aside just certain facilities that ensure that new mothers or mothers, for that matter, can have their children in the company, in the institution, wherever it is. So we're looking at how many companies are putting this kind of facilities in place where mothers and their children can access. You go breastfeed your child, come back to work. Do you think this should be, you know, made more serious? Let's also talk about motherhood and what we call partner support. A lot of times we see a lot of mothers say, well, I asked him to stay back, but he had a lot more meetings. So I know fathers are also affected by career navigation, but mothers tend to be put on the other, pedestal, I would say, where they actually have to be the ones to stay home anyway. We're both working, but the man is pretty much a little more busy. I don't know what mothers or what you'd say as a psychologist when it comes to this, when it comes to partnership and co-parenting or parenting for that matter. Now, this is to both men and women. How do you strike that balance?
Very good. Anki, I would 100% say it's very important for your partner to give you full support. Full support. Just like the way your wife does a lot of sacrifice whenever you want to attend those meetings and work. Remember, when you're making this child, you're both of you. And it didn't come in between, and probably at that time when you're making this baby, there's no one time that your partner talked about, I'll always be busy, I will not be there to support you emotionally and physically and everything. At that time, you're making this baby together. So I believe by the time that baby comes, even after the leave is over, it's very important for your partner to continue showing that full support. You know what? Many mothers who don't get a lot of full support, if you're married, they end up into depression. I'm sure you've heard of something called postnatal depression, which many mothers fall into.
Yes.
You know? And some of this postnatal depression, they come in because probably you start feeling your partner is not now fully involved in this journey. So it's a lot of sacrifice with no excuse. A lot of sacrifice with no excuse. I'll give you a simple example. Probably when I knew I was coming to the studio, and of course my younger children have to be dropped in school, sometimes we just have to make very good negotiations here if we don't have a house help. Kindly, I just got this call and they just have to attend to this matter at the studio. Do you mind if you drop over the children and probably just cancel something for about 30 minutes so that for me I can get there? And you also talk to your boss today and you also drop the children and I'm able to get here. And then after you drop, you can also go and handle your your issues, you feel very nice. You see your partner at least is also sacrificing something so that you can you can also be able to do one or two things. So your partner is supposed to be wholesomely involved.
Okay.
Emotionally, at times, I know financially, probably sometimes. Let's talk of both of you. If
that
you're
is if you're married.
If you're married.
Not a single mom.
Yes. Emotionally, physically, everything that you require for this support from your partner, you know. And again, make the children feel, oh, daddy is also so much involved. They feel it. They feel the impact.
Okay.
Children are very bright. But there's a time probably when children are just saying, oh, it's mom picking us, dropping us in school, picking us up in school, doing almost everything. Even if this mother or your wife is not working and you're working, that one doesn't, it's not debate about it. You must be involved, whether you're working or not, even if you're still providing financially.
All right.
Bringing up children is totally different because money goes, money comes and goes, but your children will remain to be there. So the support, no debate about it. It has to be there for both of you.
Yes, for both the men and women. And now we're looking at motherhood, and of course we just, had to bring in a bit of the parenting now, fatherhood as well, because women seem to be, going through so much psychological trauma, lack of enough rest, having to do all these things that we're saying, drop off the kid and make sure everyone is okay before they leave for work. And now we are from Edith, who is our professional psychologist here, is saying it is important for men to see more than meets the eye, like everything is done well. What is your wife going through this morning as a career woman? What is, the mother of your children, separated or not, going through? Because ultimately we're saying the law says 50-50, but where is her 50 coming from? If she cannot be able to balance her career with her motherhood. I mean, that's a question women have been asking. Yeah. You want us to bring 50-50 financially, but I am not able to deliver at work, so how do I bring in the other 50? However, let's take a look at another very, very key issue that women, struggle with. And this goes to, young girls or teenagers who get pregnant along the way. There's a thing of dropping out of school. I think this is part of career development. Maybe you want to touch on that. And maybe one is expectant this morning and giving up. And most parents actually withdraw support. I'm not funding you to go back to school because you actually missed out on the first chance I gave you. And this career is actually just broken down. Most of them now are nannies or house helps or house managers somewhere because their career stalled because they had a baby at a very tender age. What should you say about early motherhood and career development?
Well, thank you, Anki. I know these days early motherhood is on the rise, extremely on the rise. However, before we even get to the career development, I keep saying it's important for these young teenagers, the young mothers, before they even become young mothers, to have a lot of mentorship.
Right.
A lot of guidance and counseling is needed, probably before they mess up. I know we are human beings, these things happen. However, when you guide and mentor these young teenagers, that will actually save a lot of them from getting trapped into pregnancy. Then assume probably, as we say, we have now young mothers, you have to drop out of school and all that. I would want to encourage you and talk to you today. That is not the end. That is not the end of your career. That is not the end of your career. We have so many good cases, so many good success stories that we've had, that I got a baby when I was in school. I had to drop out. But again, that really made you a better person because now you've learned through the experience, and I'm sure you cannot be able to do that again. So probably we'll just let you go through with the motherhood, you finish up. Then when you finish, if you have somebody, probably if your mom is very understanding, or your guardian, somebody very close who can be able now to take care of your baby when he or she is about 1 year, go back to school. But before you go back to school, I know there's a lot of counseling that need to be done to this young mother. You can imagine it's not easy. This young mother has just dropped out of school. The friends in school know that she's out of school because she was pregnant. So you can imagine that kind of trauma.
And stigma.
And stigma. It's not easy. But again, even the students back in school, they need to be communicated to. They need to be talked to. When this girl comes back to school, accept her, because it can also happen to you. Let her come back and continue with her education, because through her, she's going to be now an ambassador even to the other girls in school. And she's going to bring a very positive influence and impact and change also the way of thinking. That don't just get trapped or fall in love just like that with a man. Because if you just go sleep, you know, without protection or without anything, what happens next? You get pregnant.
It is, you know there was a conversation years ago, maybe a year plus ago, about consent and sexual education, consent or discussions, and people, of course, proposed 16 years. And this is where you're talking about the sexual education, like do this or these are the consequences, etc. Are we talking to our children as we're speaking? You know, are parents involved? And that's where I bring in the next question of absentee mothers. Now this I want to direct to the single mothers who have to juggle in between career and motherhood. And for some reason, you go to certain homes and you ask the child, "Wapi mommy?" and they would point to the nanny or the house manager.
Yes.
It's disheartening, but I'm thinking, do they have a way of still staying in touch with the child when they have to be the providers, they have to be the protectors, they have to be at work, you know, same people. So there's a part of blame that is really put on this kind of women, but also they're probably trying to figure out how then can I handle it, because this is the only way I know. I have to be the father, I have to be the mother. So for some reason you find that they're hardly there because they're choosing their career to put food on the table. So how can this balance be, you know, how can you strike this balance as a single mom between your career and the child and not be absent in the child's life?
Well, Anki, I would definitely just tell you, being a single mom, it's not easy. You can imagine this mother, and we don't have to blame anyone here, because even that single mom needs to have this child, you know. Remember, this single mom, at the same time, she is the father and she is the mother.
Yes.
And she also has to balance, as you say, career, so
and
that
motherhood.
she also brings food on the table for this child. It's not quite easy. And I would actually urge, if these single mothers can also be supported, however, you know, I think we also need to have serious bills passed so that these single mothers can be supported probably in all aspects of life, so that their children also can also grow up fitting in the society, just like other children.
Yes.
So I think for me, being a single, for single mothers out there, I would also want to urge them, if they can also look, probably a time you're feeling so lonely, you're feeling so disturbed, you're feeling so depressed, you can look for somebody mature or somebody you feel, this is like my mentor, who can come and probably walk you through, talk to you, you know, give you that emotional support, so that at least you can be able to set your goals and you can be able to work out comfortably, just like the way couples, a father and a mother, are also involved when it comes to bringing up children.
All right.
So I think for me, I would actually urge the government and everyone as a whole to actually support single parenthood, because it's not easy. It is not quite easy. So they need a lot of support. They need a lot of encouragement, and don't blame them, don't judge them, so that they also feel much appreciated. Because by the end of everything, they are also moms.
Yes. Okay.
Their children will also call them moms. So that's something we also need to respect.
Oh yeah, and I'm thinking, looking forward, we have to have this conversation again, because I'm looking at things like time management, which of course they're asking, how do I strike that time management? They're looking at how do I pre-plan, how do I get moments with my child, when do I create those moments with my child, when do I do the CBC with him and not miss out on my other, planning and diary, how do I keep my diary? And I know there are questions you're having this morning. For our psychologist, she's, however, really pushing on your internal work and your emotions, and maybe this is just to say a lot of work is supposed to be done internally before you're set right in your mind as well. I don't know if that's the message home.
Exactly, Anki. A lot of investment. I keep telling people, at time you may just look at somebody physically, but that somebody looks striking, looking beautiful, looking everything. But you may not have known the kind of investment that person has put internally.
All right.
From herself or himself. It takes a lot also for you. Before you go out there to the world, you must invest in yourself internally. Accept it has happened. Accept I'm a single mom. Accept now I'm a wife, married, I have children. Accept I have to also jungle with work, the society, my children and everything. But internally, once you accept that, even in mind, everything you do, you will feel so refreshed, So first, you must internally work on yourself. I call it investing in yourself. Make yourself happy. I know at times, especially like single moms, because probably you may not have somebody to talk to when you're annoyed, or probably at work there are many challenges going on. At times, let go, because better days are coming. Today, you're down. Tomorrow, the day is bright, and nothing that lasts forever. So always, whether it comes bad, whether it comes out good, always work on yourself internally, and that will really, really help you. And that's what I've learned to do.
All right.
I remember many a times I used to be very petty, and this really affected me quite a lot, even in my emotions, But I have learned now, most of the time, what you can't work out, leave it, let it go. Work internally, live positively in mind, eat positively, however you can afford in terms of health. That is really important. Live positively and happily, and that will really make you one of the best, most happy person ever, even as a parent.
And happy mom.
Mostly
when you look at the children's diaries, which I am told by most schools from the research that moms hardly sign. There is an aspect where you see teachers have said that children are picking up stress from their parents. And I want us now to talk about that relationship between how a mother takes care of herself when it comes to navigating the stress-related, work and motherhood, and how this would trickle down to the young one if then the recommendation you're saying is not taken seriously. How are children affected if a mother is now fighting or battling internally, for example, having the struggle and contention of navigating around your career and motherhood? Is the child affected, and how are they affected?
Correct. That is very true, Anke. Remember, children meditate everything that they see you do. Mm-hmm. Because you, first of all, before they go to the outside world, you are the dad, the mom, or even that single mom. Remember, you being their parent, you are their role models, and they're looking up to you in everything that you're doing. Immediately they notice, oh, today mom looks so stressed. Oh, today dad looks so stressed. These children may not tell you, but they start internally getting affected. And they start, all of a sudden you start noticing these children, they were very outgoing, they were very happy, they were very bright. All of a sudden you start noticing some withdrawal. We even have children who probably, they didn't even have a case of wetting bed and all that. All of a sudden, this child now starts again coming backwards, start wetting the beds. and doing other funny things that this child was not involved with. Meaning, this child has started being affected by probably what he or she sees in you.
The work stress.
And
yes.
that's what I say. Even if you're stressed, Anki, have something called self-control. There's something they say, hide it from your inner side. Just smile, you know, just to make it work. I know you're not happy inside, but for the sake of these children, just have that smile, you know. Always work it out the best you can so that you don't affect these children. Because again, when you affect them, when they go back to school, even the colleagues and the teachers and everybody will actually notice these children not the way they were before. Again, I would actually want to urge for couples,
yes.
if you have like an argument, because those things are there, domestic arguments, you know, it's very important to equally have something called self-control. Probably when one party is up, one party should be down. Wait probably when the children have gone to bed, or if it's too much and you can't control it, I know at times you can't really control it, call your partner in the bedroom and probably try and sort those issues in the bedroom. And probably when you walk out from the room and come, you'll be shocked. Probably even the children will not even notice that there was something that was happening between mom and dad. For single moms as well, try as much, as I keep saying, when you work on your internal, you know, investment, try as much to make your child happy. You know, even if the stress is too high, then probably when you get that extra time, you can now go and talk to somebody like a mentor, somebody you look up to, who can probably be able to talk to you and be able to encourage you so that you can be able to feel at par.
All right, I like that. And of course, speaking of the arguments, one last question is, how does the career get in your way of making decisions to be a mother? Family planning, for example. Yes, spacing the children, for example. How then can a mom or somebody who wants to be a mom, because people have delayed motherhood, choosing career. I don't know what your word is that is on that, because a lot of people in this time as we're speaking are 35 and above, but the child idea, especially for the ladies, motherhood idea is not really playing anywhere close to the next year. Yes, what is the relationship between delaying your motherhood in biasness to the career path?
Well, that's a very lovely question, Anki, which many probably would also want to hear out there. I keep saying, when the right time comes for you to be a mother, just do it at that right time. Because they say, probably when you delay too much and you reach a certain age, you may not be able to be productive enough.
Science says.
Science, that's what science says. And I think it has proven that to many. It reaches an age whereby you feel you don't have that kind of energy, probably to give birth, deliver, and bring up children. So I believe at the right time comes. It's just good to balance that. I know I've had so many moms out there just saying, oh, if I only knew, I would have actually given birth at the right time. You know, probably you've chosen maybe to give birth to 1 or 2 children, but later you also realize, I wish I added more when I was able to. You know, let's not have that kind of regret or that kind of wish. I would actually urge at the right time, and if you're able to produce, because this is God's given, of course, not school-going children, not any child who is still in school and all that. We are talking of at the right time comes. You're blessed with a husband. You've done the wedding. You've done everything, and now this is the time for us to produce. Because by the end of it all, for you to come together is for you to produce and bring up a generation. So it's important for you to have a plan. Probably we want to have 4 children. And if you're working and your work is too demanding, you plan and space. Like I remember I spaced my children. So you can say, I give birth this year, probably in the next 1 year or so, I want to have another baby. Then probably take a break of about 2 or 3 years spacing. Then the other remaining, you say, After 2 or so years, I want to have another one. Then again, another 2 years spacing.
Okay.
Then again, you know, because that spacing is also important, but not too much spacing. I would believe between 2 to 3 years spacing.
Because right now we're seeing very huge spaces. I know one of my crew members who said, "Oh, are you going to talk about motherhood and career navigation?" I said, "Yes," and he said, "You know, I'm born 90s fine, but my follower is pretty much late 2000s, you know, and that's pretty much what we're seeing as we're speaking." In this particular generation. However, I also wanted to ask about, you know, when you talked about the spacing, people have said, "Zamungine da lewengine," you know? Yeah, people say if you have, you know, Griffith's born and he's now 10 years old, 6 years old, and maybe 10, then they can help you take care of the other children. That's what people say, delegate now. As you go to work, you have to leave the older children, make sure you pick your younger one from school. It is advisable. What are your remarks on that? Is it some way of navigating around your career and motherhood, even as we close? Because it's something that is happening. If you're watching back at home and your children are helping you take care of the younger ones, and it's helping you navigate around your career, let me know on our live stream at Look Up TV. But do you agree that it is happening, and would you advocate that it's one of the ways to keep yourself in touch with career and motherhood? Or is it not a good idea? Because they say it is a good idea.
Well, I know it's happening, Anki, but however, also remember, even these other children who are older than the ones you're giving birth now, they also need to go to school. They also have other responsibility as the rights being children, you know? So I think probably we talk of probably on weekends when these children are not in school, and probably you want to dash somewhere to a salon, you want to go do shopping, and you want to dash very fast. Probably at that time, if you have like a 6-7-year-old who seems very responsible, you can leave the younger brother or the younger sister behind with them. But that does not really mean you have to delegate all the full responsibility.
Motherhood responsibilities, yes.
Because by the end of it all, you're the mother. These children still need guidance, you know? Yes, they can help you. You know, I see like older children, probably they want to hold the younger siblings, you know, probably in the kitchen. If you're still within the house, you're in the kitchen, you're cooking, you're preparing meals, or doing the washing and all that. Yes, at that time, more older children, they can sit around in the house and play with the younger kids, keep them busy doing 1 or 2, but not to fully delegate full responsibility in terms of this child now needs also to feed the younger sister and younger brother, needs to even wash, you know, those sorts of things. So children must be given the right to be children. However, we still have that part whereby we talk about life skills coaching. All right. It's also good to also, apart from now, we are not talking of delegating the responsibility fully, but also to just show them a few life skills, so that they can also acquire and also be responsible when they grow up, but not delegating full responsibility to more older children.
And as mothers are watching this morning, are you one of those moms who has been fully delegating your motherhood responsibilities to your older children as you navigate around your career? All right, let us know why you do this. Do you need help around it? How then can we help you, even at Look Up TV, as we're discussing this? What is your situation as a mother, young mom, older mom, trying to navigate around your career and, of course, your motherhood skills? Now, one thing I want to ask you, when you walk in the streets of Kanairo, they say Kanairo or Nairobi, these women who sell, the vendors, I'm sure this is what they call, you know, their career at the time, their jobs at the time. And they have been castigated for a long time when the child is running around the road, or there's a very, you know, young infant covered, and maybe in their psychology, they're really battling a lot. You know, and now that you're a counseling psychologist and a professional for that matter, I want now to narrow down to that woman. Leave alone the office-going woman, you know, the corporate woman. I'm talking to the woman back at home who right now is packing a few oranges or tomatoes and is about to go to their, you know, kibanda somewhere, and they have to take their child with them. how would they strike this? How can they not feel guilty for doing this? And if they have a choice or a way out, what would it be? What alternatives can they practice to keep that child safe as well during that hassle they call hassle moments? Yes.
Correct. Well, Anki, again, I must actually congratulate these mothers who do that kind of work. They have to carry their young ones, go to the street, probably first go to the market. That child is at the back, or probably here at the front. Go to the market, buy the vegetables and the fruits and everything, then they come and start selling on the street. Those sorts of mothers they are strong women. Those are the kind of mothers we say they are really strong mothers and women. However, for them, then again, we also need to ask, how much more do you think this mother or woman can do? If this mother can be able to even carry his or her own child behind, go to the market, look for money, and at the same time come and feed the family. If the government can look at that per se in a deeper way, then ask, how much more do you think this kind of woman and mother can do if environment is well fit? I think there's a time I saw some market in some counties have started opening sort of like daycare centers to accommodate these children of these mothers who was selling on the street. So if more can be done, just like the way we talked about the Safaricom, they have a daycare center where the staff who have younger children go and leave their children, and they can be able to keep dashing and check how their children are doing. And at that time, you're feeling so comfortable and you can work at peace. If that can also be done, each and every county.
In the markets.
In the markets. And they have a very nice, beautiful, friendly environment for these children. Oh, I would assure you, these mothers can really, really be very happy. Because they know when I wake up, there's somewhere I can drop my child, feel safe. There are people who are employed to do that, take care of my younger children. And for me, I can be able to go to the market comfortably and any other place that I would want to come and do my business with no worry at all.
And one more thing that, of course, asking the viewer is, when you see these women around the streets and in the marketplaces, what kind of psychosocial support do you give them? You know, it's always been, I don't know, especially in Nairobi, you know, when you walk, you see people saying, these kids are used to this, but are we making those pathways even, you know, are we taking care of these kids as we're walking along there? Are we giving more hope to these women than the stigma and psychological torture? Maybe that's a question I can give you this morning, but I can see Lailani Sheru is giving us a feedback on Facebook, and you might want to comment on this again, but of course we touched on it, and this is her view. And she says, my view on delegating parental responsibility is a very unjust way, especially on the elder child, since a child is still a child, just like you said. This only builds stress onto the child, regardless of how old the child is. Kulea mtoto ni kazi. Thank you very much for that. And of course, people do not know why the firstborns say, God bless all the firstborns. You know, now we're getting, as we discussed the career navigation around motherhood, you understand why firstborn says, oh Lord, we thank God for the position we've had, because they kind of got some delegations, but I like that has come up in this discussion. As we're wrapping up, I just want to understand, therefore, that as we're concluding, it is therefore possible for a mother to still, you know, stay in their career, strike the balance. The whole point is that possibility exists in this navigation. You can do it. Maybe as you do your final remarks, are you confirming that it is possible and you can actually do it?
I can actually confirm it. Yes, it is not easy. It is not easy, Anki, but you can do it. It is possible. However, if these women, including myself and yourself, get full support from all the parties concerned, it is possible, right from the government, right from their partners, right from their workplace, from their bosses. I'm very sure women would actually really enjoy if that good space of understanding is given to them. so that they can be able to balance their career and they can be able to bring up their children back at home.
All right.
Because I think women are everything when it comes to home. You know, they're the ones who build homes.
All right.
You know, so if full support is given to all, even whether it's career working moms and even those who are on the street selling vegetables and all, and single moms and everybody, oh my God, we would even make as many presidents as possible in the world.
Amazing. So it is important, and just respect that motherhood builds on the entire nation. And people have said a happy mother is happy children, and finally a happy nation. Thank you very much for being part of the big conversation, Edith. We're looking forward to more of your, expertise on set. But for now, the Morning Drift takes another very short break. We come back with your favorite segment, that is the Drip and Flex, understand style and fashion. We'll be right back.